Alright, what is going on, everyone? Today we're going to cover the new quote-unquote portal weapons that have come over to All Out Warfare, so the AKS, the ACW, and the Rex, along with some other silent nerfs that I've noticed, and then the plague of slow-mo frame dropping, and the game just overall crashing repeatedly, and the potential fix to it that I've been seeing going around that has allegedly been working, so we'll get into that after. But real quick, I just want to touch on these new weapons. They're not new, right? But in All Out Warfare, so you got the AKS, ACWR, and the MP Rex, okay? So my biggest complaint, again, with these weapons is no real attachments. You don't have to grind for whatever they give you, again. And then outside of that, they don't really compete with the All Out Warfare weapons because they don't have the right attachments. The recoil patterns are based off of what was in Portal. There's no recoding to make these guns any really competitiveness to whatever else is already out there. I mean, you know, the meta is already built, so kind of just getting into this. So the AKS shoots slower than all dog hell, okay? This was probably the most frustrating one to get tier 1. And the reason for that is it does, you know, 24, it should do 25, okay? I'm sorry, at a minimum. This needs to be a 4 bolt to kill within 9 meters. Outside of 9 meters, it's a 5. And what's crazy about this is the suppressor also allows you to do a, you know, 24-48 to the head. So if you run the suppressor or the heavy barrel, it'll do 2x to the head. If you run the factory or the flash hider, it'll only do 24 and 30, so you get the 1.25. But if you run the heavy barrel, you get a 2x, which I'm not sure why they're doing it this way. That's really all I'm going to cover on this. Outside of that, I mean, the hipfire's not bad, you know, it's just the biggest complaint here is the rate of fire does not match the damage. The biggest buff this needs is a damage buff to the base, and maybe extend the range, probably double, which would make this somewhat competitive. The Rex itself was probably the most fun to get tier 1, for me anyways. It does good damage. My only complaint with it is I don't like the iron sights on it. There's a bit of visual kick to it compared to the other pistols. As you can see, you can actually visually see that it recoils. So it took some adjusting, and even still now after getting this tier 1, I have an issue with the iron sights. I don't really enjoy it. The hipfire on it is actually surprisingly good, right? I mean, it's got some decent hipfire to this thing if you're pacing your shots. So I found a lot of times that I was using this and hip firing more than ADSing, but I typically try to ADS as much as I can just because I'm a high sense player and I can kind of get away with ADSing up close. But generally speaking, the rule of thumb is if you're within like 10-20 meters, you hip fire anyways. Also, the biggest complaint with the Rex is there are 0 attachments for this. Nothing. Okay, there's nothing for it. That is not the button I clicked there. Once this crate comes in, we'll kind of show you the ACWR real fast, and then I'm going to touch on the silent nerf that happened to the gold Magnum that some people probably don't know about, and I didn't even know about it because I already had it tier 1. So I didn't even bother touching it until someone in chat told me, like, hey, the Magnum got nerfed. And I was like, what are you talking about? So I went and tested it. Same thing with the ACW, right? It does the 2.15. So 21 and then 45.1. So if you run the heavy barrel on it, it drops to a 2x. Okay. And I believe this is good out to
multiple target, 90 degrees.
Yeah, outside of that. So if you're gonna run the ACW, use the standard barrel, okay? Now, I will say that this thing has virtually no recoil, okay? This is without controlling the recoil. I mean, it's just straight up and to the right. It's very easy to manage. So, I think this got ported over fair enough, or maybe it was just already this good in Portal. I'm not sure. Like I said, I don't play Portal. But this is the easiest one to use recoil-wise. Now, the last thing I want to cover with these is the Magnum, okay? Remember how the Magnum used to one-shot out to 50 meters to the upper body and up? It no longer does that. Even if I barrel stuff the person, it will no longer one-shot anything. They took that away. And I don't know why. I don't know who was complaining that much about it. I thought it was okay for it to do that. Personally, that it rewarded aim, right? If you aimed well, you were rewarded. Now, it still has good bullet velocity, low drop, all that other stuff. So, and it's got a high base damage. So, you know, it's still fairly good. I would say it's probably a B tier, in my opinion. But who was complaining about this thing? The other really hard silent nerf that I'm sure a lot of you have noticed if you do actually sit and play medic or wait for revives and things like that, you are hard stuck to the ground. As bad as it is when you're laying prone. So this animation, when you get up, it's almost a full second of doing this, right? You got your character model putting the hand on the floor, coming back up with the animation. When you get revived, there is no immediately sliding and sprinting off the ground to run away from the danger, okay? So now you are hard as a rock on the ground, and you are very vulnerable for almost a full second before you can do anything. And your best bet at that point is just the hope that you get revived in line of sight of whoever is rezzing you in front of a person just straight up aping you guys and shooting them. It's a really hard habit to break of trying to come off the ground as soon as I get rezzed to go for cover. I've tried to now more so lay on the ground and try to shoot back. Most of the times you still die anyways. So that's a really big problem. Last thing is the bugs that have come with the patch, okay? So DICE is very well known for when they fix something, they break something. And they broke something big time with this. I'm sure a lot of you guys have noticed. Some of you guys haven't. I've gotten mixed, but I got confirmation from the EA Help Twitter account that they are aware that this is a problem, mostly for PC players, and they're trying to get a fix for it. But right now what's happening is there are two big problems. You either get the slow-mo bug, which I'm sure some of y'all seen floating around, or you get the game just completely crashes, like without warning, just cuts out, crashes, and goes back to desktop. That has not happened to me yet. What has happened for me is I will get the slow-mo bug, or I will get the bug where I drop down to 35 to 40 frames and then the game just crashes. Another video that has been floating around on my end that I've seen, I was flying at the start of the game in the stealth chopper, and everybody was invisible, the models didn't, so I was just floating around as a character model in the stealth chopper, and then that game eventually crashed. So that's probably the extent that I have seen personally with this patch breaking the game. Now, the quick fix for this that I'm seeing a lot on Reddit and Twitter is to go into your files and go clear the cache. That seems to help. A lot of players have been telling me that does fix the game. I verified the integrity of the game files in Steam, and that was all I had to do to kind of help fix. I haven't had an issue since then. But if you guys need a guide on where to go for the cache, it's really quick. I'll try to slowly explain this without going into pulling up the file myself. So you go into Documents, pull up 2042, go to the cache folder, and all you're going to do is delete everything in that folder and make sure your game is closed out. If you do this with the game open, make sure you close your game and then reopen it. And then you'll notice as when you upload the game and you get into a match, the game is going to be very stuttery / frame skipping because it's loading all of those shaders back into your cache folder again. So basically it's starting from scratch and being fresh, right? So that first game is going to be a little stuttery and jittery for you, but probably maybe about halfway through that game, or maybe the entire game, I'm not sure how long it takes anymore, it should fix itself and you should be good to go. Let me know if that works for you guys. Like I said, I personally don't have that issue, so I haven't tested this myself, and I have not cleared my cache. But that's all there is for this patch. Unfortunately, again, they keep giving us these portal weapons as quote-unquote filler for content when it's not really content, and they don't give us anything for it. You don't even get, the skins for getting tier 1. You get the badge, which, for me, I'm OCD, I want them, but for everyone else, there's no incentive to use them. Honestly, I mean, the AKS is terrible, the ACWR is decent at best, and the Rex is good, but there's nothing for it. Not even a red dot. So, just the lack of incentive to use these weapons just really turns off a lot of the players, and I don't blame you guys for not using it or wanting to do anything with them, this and that. Really, it's just like worthless weapons getting put in All Out Warfare for you guys, and it's now starting to mold into that Battlefield 4, Battlefield 1 plethora of weapons, but really there's only like 7 to 8 guns you can use that are within the meta that kind of stick to the similar time to kill based on the SCAR and the Avances and K30s, which most players are still running around with. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you guys want to see anything else, just let me know. I will try to get to that as quick as I possibly can for you guys. And then, as always, leave a like if this was informative to you or if you just like the video in general. Until the next one, guys, I'll catch you later.